All right. Yeah. Welcome back to Patreon people. Thanks for being here. We're going to continue this. And we were just talking about, as we finished the main interview, we kind of just naturally started talking about building, as we finished earlier, about building your team, and how so many people will have excuses of like, oh, this is hard, I don't know how to do this. And you were like, well, just don't go spend money on some, like, people spend money on stupid things, or go out. I have that thought too often of like, people go to like happy hour every day.
Yeah, why would you do that?
In Los Angeles especially, it's like, and then buying like $15 drinks. And if you want to do that, great. Yeah. But then don't complain that you don't have like the gear to start your podcast.
Right.
Like, don't go out for like 1 week and you can buy, as you said, like you can have like it doesn't cost $100,000 to build a podcast studio or something.
No,
like
it
you can buy like cheap lights and like buy microphones and have a setup. So and you were talking about that, like building your team, like, yeah, you might have to make a sacrifice or something.
Yeah.
But does that sacrifice allow you to get closer to that dream life that you're trying to create? And a lot of, and that's great to see that happens, and that you're just making that decision.
Right. So I think that one of our biggest problems, if we're talking magic, if you want to be a magician and if you want to like take over the world and be the next Chris Angel, whoever is your inspiration, I think the biggest problem with that right now is the magic shops, like the online magic shops that are doing these videos and trying to show you how cool the effect is, and they try to like. They try to fool you with words like instant reset and no camera tricks and stuff like that, and it's totally not practical.
Yeah.
So you spend all of the money, and you take so much of your own time to try to get this thing to work, and it doesn't. And then you just take that presentation that they used, and it's so shitty. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone right now. But that is a big problem.
We just lost our sponsorship from the magic shop.
Oh, we did, yeah. I'm sorry.
So to make that relevant to, if you're not, the broad scale for that, for someone who's not a magician, is like, that's the easy, like the shortcut. That's trying to take the shortcut. Oh, I can buy this thing and use it as the instructions are. Yeah. And that's available for whatever you're trying to do. Like, I'm doing my podcast because through the formula that this other podcast person that I watched does, instead of taking the time to develop your own personal way of doing it.
And there are so many books on these things as well. Like we have about performing and about singing and about dancing, and we have these different classes of this stuff, but we don't take the time and we don't invest our money correctly. So for me, I decided a long time ago that I'm not going to buy new magic props if I don't need them. Mm-hmm. So I'm working with Tom Stone, one of the best magic creators in the world, and I'm so grateful for that. And he creates so much for me. But if I did not have that, I would go back to the classics of magic. Like I would go back to the books, Tarbell Course in Magic and all of these old classes, Tommy Wonder's books, amazing. And just go in and read about it and create my own version. Because as soon as we see, and the juggling thing as well, like if you're juggling something and you see how it's done, you see the performance, that's a big problem, because then you don't create your own style of it.
Yeah.
So don't buy shit. And don't try to like do the shortcuts in these kind of things, because if you want to last in this industry or any industry, you have to have a good foundation, and you have to, it's like makeup really, isn't it? You put the foundation, then you do the powder, and then you do like the touch up,
What's the thing of what I've always talked about, the just go thing? It's like if you want to be on top of this quote mountain or on top of this ladder, and you don't, the last step is the least important one. Yeah. The first step is the only thing that matters, because we have this one step right here, the foundation that you're building. Right. It's like you can't finish your eye makeup until you do the first part of it. Right. I know all about that.
And the thing is, we've all seen that picture of an iceberg. We see only the tip of the iceberg. And if you take a look at one of those images and you see all of the words under there, there's words that might be able to like scare you a lot, like words like failure and anxiety and stress and all of that. But the top would not be possible if we didn't have all of that too. And I think it's part of being an artist, really, to have these these feelings of rejection and not being good enough and all of this. But for me, it's more of a motivational thing. Like, I'm not scared of failing. I'm afraid I haven't like done enough stuff, you know, and the only way to succeed is to fail many times. And so I think that if you're going to create a career for yourself, or if you're really, really trying, don't go out and do it the easy way. Try to put in the hours and create your character and try to write about your character. Even if you're not a good writer, just write it for yourself. Who do you want to be, and what is this person like? How does he walk? How does he talk? What kind of routines would he do? If you're a magician, what would magic look like? If you're a juggler, how high or how many balls should you do? There's so many different things that go into creating this character that does not involve buying that new trick.
Yeah.
You know, and save that money, find other people to work with and invest your money there, because that's the real magic. That's what's going to change everything for you. So that's my big takeaway for the Patreons and for this conversation too, because this is something we can talk about forever. But if we're going to have to like put it down into one sentence, it's invest the right way. Don't go out and buy the new cool effect.
Yeah.
Invest it in the right people. It's that's the best thing that you can do for yourself.
Yeah, and again, that it's obvious that how that can be spread into people who aren't in the magic world. You know, people are in whatever, as we just kind of explained that, and whatever that is. You know, we all know, even if that's just like spending money on something stupid, that we're just that's like an excuse to not get started on the thing that we want to.
Yeah,
it's like everyone's just kind of doing those things. Like, I've decided I wanted to do this, so it's like I don't have somebody here to help me yet. But I was like, but I can buy some cameras. I have light, you know, set up the thing, and then that's what, not to like be like, oh, I can do it, but like I don't have anything special that other people did. I started with just nothing. You know, I started with just, you know, a microphone. Yeah. That was like $100 or something. Yeah. And then, you know, build it up to create something that's bigger. Do we have questions from?
I do think we do have a couple of questions.
So for the Patreon people who are watching later, we have some live Instagram things happening.
Yes. Hello,
so
Instagram.
Let's answer some questions.
This is not a question. This is a compliment.
Oh.
The most beautiful magician.
Thank you.
Ever.
Oh, that wasn't to me though.
And that's to you.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's see here. Do we have any? Hi from Poland. That's great. She. I do not know what that means. It's a question. I do not know what it is. I do not know. I'm going to scroll up here. Hello, Caroline. I do not know if we have any questions, actually, because I said that we were not going to do any.
Well, we could give them a moment right now. Questions, if you guys want to ask a question.
Are you guys having a question? Here we go. Any news about Ravn cards? Yes, they will be on Kickstarter in about 10 days, I think. That's great. I'm absolutely loving the new cards. Let's see if there's another question coming in.
Middle of August for people who aren't watching live.
Here's a guy saying, no question, everything was so clear. I'm going to go ahead and take that as a compliment. So, but great. Let's just say thank you to Instagram and talk to you guys soon. See you around. There we go.
Cool. So, great. There was so much great stuff in the main thing. We don't need to keep we're going to keep saying the same thing, and we won't
waste their time.
Go stop trying to learn more stuff and go do something.
People always ask me, like, Caroline, have you seen this or this show? Like, people always ask about Game of Thrones. They're like, have you seen Game of Thrones? Yeah. And I go, no, I'm a performer. I don't have the time. Right. Like, it's so easy to have excuses. Like, no, I have to do this and this and this and this. No, if you have a dream and you want to pursue it, you know. It's no one else is going to do it for you. And like the thing that I live by the most is the thing that I said before about I'm not afraid of death. I am afraid I haven't been alive enough. And try to implicate that into your own life. What would that be? Like, if and it's such a cliche, like, oh, if you had like only one more year to live, what would you do? You know, stuff like that. Yeah. It's not that. It's more like, how can I implement that into my own life? What would I not want to miss out on? Like, and it could be anything really. I would like to stand on this stage. I would like to have a Guinness World Record. I would like to have a sign with my name on it. It could be anything really, and try to live that dream. You know, create that for yourself, because no one else is going to do it. You know, for you. You're the one. Sorry, but that's it. You know, you have to do it.
Yeah, and to add on to that is like, no one really cares. I say that a lot. Like, no one cares if you're awesome, if you're terrible. Like, and it comes across sometimes of like, well, is that motivational? But it's like, to me, that is like, no one really like is checking up like you know, whatever I do or don't do, it's like up to me.
Yeah, it is
in that a way, and that's supposed to be in a way of like, not like, oh, nothing matters, you just stop caring about everything. It's like, no one cares about this dream like you do, so it is up to you to get out there and make it happen and do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you for sharing all of your great things.
You're welcome.
You again, I'll add on to that thing of really inspiring to see your like that way that you really feel like everything is possible, and you just approach all the things like that.
Yeah.
So it's super cool.
Thank you.
That's all.
I'm gonna do a deck drop. There we go.
Deck drop. That could sound wrong out of context.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's it. Goodbye.